Hey guys, welcome back to another video in the series. I'm Anish from FTC Team 21351 Cybotz. Today, we're going to be learning about advanced Onshape features for better precision and organization. Additionally, we'll be learning how to use make connectors and constraints for movement in our assemblies. We'll also be learning about subassemblies and collaboration in Onshape. Before we dive into this video, let us recap on what we learned in the last video. In the last video, you guys learned about the basics of Onshape. This includes sketching, extruding your sketches, and editing your sketch or part. You guys were also introduced to assemblies, learning how to connect simple parts using mates. Alright, let's dive into this video. Let's start off with make connectors. Make connectors are possibly one of the most powerful tools in Onshape assemblies, since it helps you align two parts precisely without manually needing to actually align them. Here are two U-channels that I'll be using to demonstrate how to use make connectors. First, I'm going to use this make connector tool right here. So I'll just click on it, or you can use the short key Control M. Either way works. So once we click on the make connector tool, we can place it anywhere and attach it to any port we want. So I'm just going to attach it to the 6-hole U-channel right here. I'm just going to put it on this hole. And once we hit the green check mark, we have the make connector attached on there. So now I'm going to show you how this make connector works. So let's just click any mate. I'm just going to choose the fasten mate. And this is the only mate that can attach two parts without creating any movement between them, which is what we're going to be talking about later in this video, just not now. So I'm just going to attach a mate connector for this fasten mate anywhere. So I'll put it on this part in this hole right here. And then I'm going to attach it to this mate connector that I just attached. And there we go. Once we attach that, they will just click in place with exact precision. You can also reorient this piece right here by you can flip the primary axis, rotating it 180 degrees. You can also reorient the secondary axis like this. You could put it in any position you want. So if the position it looks good to you, you can hit the green check mark, and there we go. This is how we can use make connectors. Alright, now let's talk about adding constraints for movements in assemblies. First, let's talk about the revolute mate. This mate allows rotation across one axis for a part. So I'll show you by placing a mate connector here and then attaching it with the other mate connector that we already attached, just like we always did. And then I'm going to press this play here, and as you can see, you can see this part rotating across one axis. We can hit the green check mark, and once we know this part is fixed, we were also able to rotate it manually. The slider mate allows for a part to slide across one axis. Here's an example of this. So let's click the slider mate, or we can use the key M and choose which kind of mate we want, in this case slider. So we can do what we've always been doing. Just click here and on this mate right here. So now when we animate this, you can see it's sliding back and forth. And once we know it's good, we can hit the green check mark, and just like that, we can manually slide it as well. Just make sure that the piece that the part is sliding on is fixed, otherwise it won't work. Next, we have a cylindrical mate. The cylindrical mate is basically a combination of the revolute mate and the slider mate. It can do both actions. Here's an example. So let's just attach these two on, right, like that. And then once we animate this, we can see here that it's rotating and sliding at the same time. When doing it manually, you can also see the same action. The parallel mate basically connects both the parts in a way that they are both parallel. However, it's still able to move. Let me show you. Let's just click the parallel mate or the M key, and then we can put it here, attach it with this part. And as you can see here, we can see how it's parallel like this, orienting it, and then it also can move. However, it has to remain parallel in order to move. Now we have a ball mate. This will allow the part to spin from one point. If you don't understand what I'm saying, let me show you. This is what I mean. It's staying in one point, yet it's just spinning around. When we click the check mark and we do it manually, let me just click that. We can see that it's spinning around with just 1 point staying in place. The planar mate restricts two entities or parts from sharing the same plane. For example, right now, two parts are sharing the same plane, like this. However, once I add the planar mate, let me put the planar mate. Hit the green check mark. I will be able to move it, but I won't be able to go through or share the same plane as the other part. As you start to get into more complex designs and builds, your assembly could become very messy. This is where subassemblies come in. Creating the subassemblies can be very useful, especially with complex designs, since it allows you to break your main assembly into different parts or assemblies, helping you to be more organized while creating your design. Here I have a design of a clamp, and I'm going to show you how to break this into subassemblies. First, start with any part. I'm just going to start with this handle. So when you right click on it, there are all these options here. Look for the option move to new subassembly. There are actually two options to move to new subassembly. There's this option right here and create an empty subassembly, which basically just creates an empty subassembly that you can move parts into. Both pretty much do the exact same action, except this one moves the part that you choose to the new subassembly. So let's choose this part, this. So as you can see here, this handle that I chose was already moved into the assembly. So you can move other parts into the assembly. So I'm going to decide to move these two parts. And I'll drag them into here. And there we go. Our first subassembly is created. As you can see here, it shows up into the subassembly, also known as assembly 2. Alright, let's create our second subassembly. Alright, when we right click on this, instead of clicking move to new subassembly, let's create empty subassembly. When we click on it, we get this subassembly right here. Let's just delete this for now. Alright, so we get this assembly. So click this arrow here, and we'll be able to move the rest of our parts to that subassembly. And there we go. Both of our subassemblies have been created, and this is a great way to manage your complex designs and keep them organized. Let me show you some very useful Onshape collaboration tools. So first we have the versions and history tab, located on the top left here, below the Onshape logo and above the create version tab. When you click on it, it will show you all the versions that you've created in your history from the start to now. You all can also see all the changes that you've made the version that you created. For example, let's go back to version 1. This is what I created as a version 1. And look at my main. Different, right? So this will show you everything that you've done throughout from your start to now. Now, let's look at the comments. You can add a comment by just typing it here, and these filters will, like, say for this workspace only. So anyone in this workspace will only be able to see it, but if you change it to entire document, then everyone in the entire document will be able to see it. Here, you can just type in fix this part and click add. This will make it visible to everyone in the document, and they will all be able to get your message. You also have the chance to reply to your comment, to the comment saying, like, okay, reply. This is very good for communication, even in a CAD document, and is very convenient. Alright, lastly, we have the share tool. The share tool allows you to share your document with anyone you want to, whether it be a group of people or just 1 or 2 people. You all can also share it through a link. So with anyone that has access to the link will have access to your document. Next, we have the make public feature, which allows you to make your document public if you want to. And we also have the application feature, which shows you the apps that could have access to your document. As of now, you have the choice to allow these apps to your document, but you don't have to if you don't want to. To branch a version in Onshape, all you need to do is go to the Versions and History tab. Like I said before, it's located on the top left. So you can choose any version that is in your Versions History tab. I'm just going to choose version 1. And when you right click on it, click Branch to create workspace. It will give you a name, and a description is optional. You don't have to write one if you don't want to. And then click create. So here is a branched version of my version 1 part. So this will help you experiment with new design ideas you could have had, or test out some new features that could have been added into Onshape. This is a very helpful tool when working with Onshape and design. Well, that's it for today. I hope you guys learned something new. In the next video, you all will be applying your skills that you've learned throughout these past videos into your very first design challenge. Alright, see you guys later.